Rise and shine on Australia's Vision Christian Radio.
Hey, it's so great to be bringing you our favourite bits from Rise and Shine throughout the week. It's Fel and Andy with you. How you doing, Andy?
Yeah, good. It's been another big week, Phil. So much great stuff happened on Rise and Shine last week.
What was your favourite? Because we're picking a few favourites.
I liked Matt Redman.
Oh, you chose my favourite too.
Yeah, and not just because he's a worship leader, because he's English. I mean, I really love England. I love the UK. I love the history of the church. I've been there. I lived there for 4 years. If I had my way, England would be in revival right now.
Yes,
and just good to hear a good, solid Englishman who loves God. He's writing songs. He's out there serving God.
And if you don't know who Matt Redman is, his song 10,000 Reasons, Bless the Lord, oh my soul, was our number one pick when the Rise and Shine family had to choose a favourite. He won.
Yeah, the online poll, Matt Redman was the winner. So we're going to listen to a bit of that conversation again today, which is really nice.
We'll also hear from some of our wonderful guests. We'll have Jason Perko Perkins joining us. He's talking about something called incarnational listening. It sounds like a lot, but it's really just about listening with empathy, I think is probably the way we could describe it. We've got AJ Spurr who dropped in as well. And we've been asking a question all through the week, haven't we, Andy?
Yeah, who would you have a coffee with? If you went to heaven for 2, maybe 3 hours, which Bible character do you want to sit down with and pick their brains?
So you will hear from a number of our Vision family today who they'd have coffee with. Maybe you'd like to join that conversation. Well, you can. You can send us a text on 0447 488 316 or jump onto Facebook on the Rise and Shine page to get involved with the conversation there.
Yep, certainly can. And we want to hear your answers because they've all been good so far. They're just like the answers to our Bible story sound-off, Phil. They're always good answers.
They really are.
The Rise and Shine Weekend Edition on Vision Christian Radio.
Well, we are back with Perko from the Irresistible Church Network, and I'm genuinely looking forward to this next section, Perko, because you're talking to us today about listening.
Yeah, we're talking about the fact that most of us never were really taught well how to listen. We probably picked up some poor habits along the way, like I did. And I would love to, and I know this won't be a shock for many people, but I'd love to look at the life of Jesus and see what we could perhaps learn from his life and his example and how that kind of impacts listening. And so if you may remember in the beginning of the Gospel of John, it talks about in the beginning was the Word, meaning Jesus, and the Word was with us and so on. And it really unpacks this idea of God in the flesh coming to earth, which we just celebrated at Christmas time. And we talk about that event as being the incarnation of Christ. And so I love trying to apply incarnation, that concept of stepping out of your world and into somebody else's world when it comes to listening through a really practical skill called incarnational listening. I know it's not rocket science, the name of it, but that's what I'd love to share with you guys this morning is how do we apply God's incarnation coming into our world through the person of Jesus to our listening. And I think it's been really helpful for me.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a big word. It sounds a bit scary.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
Yeah. So really the purpose of incarnational listening is simply this. It's to make the other person feel like you feel what they are feeling. So I know that's a lot of feeling. And
but it's good feelings, though. I like those feelings.
I know we've said that word several times. Instead of making sure the other person thinks that you understand what they said, that's not incarnational listening. Instead of trying to develop a rebuttal or a response to what they just said, which is what I grew up with, that's not incarnational listening. Incarnational listening is simply making sure that the other person feels like you feel what they are feeling.
Okay.
So if they're feeling joyful, assure them that you feel that joy that they're feeling. Okay. If they're feeling incredibly discouraged, make sure that they really feel like you actually are feeling their discouragement. Not just understanding it, but you're actually feeling it.
Oh, that's so good.
That's the goal.
That is so good.
It's a lot. How do you do that?
Yeah. So I think you can steal some practices from kind of the counseling world. You may have even heard of, or maybe you were taught this idea of reflective listening. So when somebody says something to you, you're just simply repeating back, maybe not verbatim, but at least in a way that makes them understand, like, no, you really get how I'm feeling. So reflective listening is a great tool. So like you would just repeat back what I've just said to you.
I could say, I'm hearing, Perko, that you're talking about reflective listening and how important it is.
Exactly. Or, Perko, I hear you saying that incarnational listening is all about making sure that the person you're listening to feels like you feel what they're feeling. And I would say, yes, Fel, you nailed it. That's exactly what we're talking about. So that simple act of reflecting back to them, not trying to develop your response, that's not the point, because they won't feel listened to, but that you can actually reflect back, not just what they're saying, but how they're feeling it. So even your tone of voice and your facial expressions and your body language to go like, when you say that you're discouraged, I hear that you're really down and you're feeling really despondent right now.
Wow.
And the way that I'm even saying it lets them know I didn't just hear what they're saying, but I'm feeling what they're saying.
And there's a step there, isn't it? Because I think often we listen to fix. Like I listen to you and I'm all the time processing, coming up with, I could fix that for you. Here's my advice. It's quite different, isn't it?
It is so different, Fel. Listening to fix has never worked well for me in my marriage. Let me just say that. I don't know how many times Kristen has said to me in the 25 plus years we've been married now, hey, I don't need you to solve the problem. I'd just love for you to feel what I'm feeling in this moment. That's incarnational listening, because that's entering that person's world just like Christ came into our world and he felt what we feel.
Rise and Shine will be back Monday, but you can hear the best bits anytime in the Vision app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Great conversations, fun, inspiration, and more. Rise and Shine on Vision. The right way to spend your Saturday. This is the Rise and Shine Weekend Edition on Vision.
Well, today, Fel, we have AJ Spurr joining us on Rise and Shine to share with us her pearls of wisdom. AJ, welcome to Rise and Shine.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love that term, pearls of wisdom. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. Now,
well, it's feminine. Pearls are a very feminine thing. I didn't say gold nuggets because blokes can dig for gold, but women appreciate the finer things in life more, such as pearls.
I am all for digging for gold. AJ, do you have any gold for us this morning that you've dug out for us? Actually, before we do that, we need to ask you what we've been asking everybody. We can't miss AJ. AJ, we've been asking everybody who they would have coffee with in the Bible. Is there anyone in the Bible you'd want to sit down and have a coffee with?
Yeah, well, I think the obvious answer is Jesus, because didn't we all?
Yes.
But second, I would love to sit down and have a mum-to-mum chat with Jesus' mum, Mary.
Mary.
Good answer.
Can you imagine?
What would you ask her, AJ?
Oh, so much. I think she's just such a beautiful-hearted woman. And it's obvious that she is the one that told the apostles the story of Jesus' incredible birth. And in Luke 2, it says, she held these things close to her heart and treasured such a mum thing.
Yes.
And I think she protected his dignity so much too, because she could have shared, this is what it was like teaching the creator of the universe how to walk. And, this is an embarrassing moment that happened because he was in the ethereal spiritual realm that he came from. There was obviously no gravity and so many different things. So he was inhabiting this very human body, and there would have been so many human moments that she could have kind of exposed. But she chose to protect his dignity, and I love that as a mum. And I would love to talk to her. I'm going to cry about sitting at the cross as a mum. And I feel like she, of all people, would have known exactly what was going on. And I'm sure, how mums and our boys, we have this kind of secret language that we have with each other. And I think of all people, she knew, it's, and she would have been ministering and comforting everyone around her, saying, it's okay, this is part of the plan, but it's still unimaginable watching your son go through incredible pain. And, I've been there with my kids in hospital when they've broken a limb and, they've got to put something back in place. And you're just saying to them, just keep your eyes on me. It's okay. I've got you. And I can imagine her at the foot of the cross. Just saying to Jesus, just look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, not long now. And that was her gift to him, that the last face that he saw on earth in his final moments was the face of supernatural love in the form of a mother.
Oh, AJ.
Can't top that one, Phil.
What
a great answer.
That is just beautiful, because I'm just imagining my son and your son, AJ, and as a mum, I don't think I've ever pictured Mary quite in that way at the cross. what it would mean if that was your son standing there, taking sin for all eternity, and you know the price. She knew right at the beginning.
Yeah.
God had told her before she was even pregnant what she was going to see, but the humanity of that moment must have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been so hard. And I know, watching my kids play AFL and somebody it does a really rough tackle and sometimes, I've wanted to take some 11-year-old boys downtown, for hurting my son. And
you want to give some guidance as a concerned parent, some guidance to the other parent's child.
That's right.
I am with you.
5 minutes alone with their mum.
Oh, AJ, that is a beautiful answer.
Vision has just the right mix of music, inspiration and fun to kickstart your day. Rise and shine. Weekdays at breakfast.
The right way to spend your Saturday. This is the Rise and Shine Weekend Edition on Vision.
Got Pastor Sam here, and Pastor Sam has promised a great devotion about greatness. Got us all excited here.
It could be an average devotion.
No,
about
it'll be
greatness.
great.
Yeah, let's not over-project here, Phil. Let's under-project and over-perform.
that's
so
what
it's
you
going to
wanna
be,
do.
it's
We'll
going to be
start
okay.
again then. We've got an average
Pretty
devotion about
standard.
greatness from Pastor Sam.
Hopefully it's true.
What have you got for us?
Well, the question sparked a thought in my mind when I thought the question of who would you have coffee with?
Oh, yes.
And then I think who would you have coffee with in general? Who
Right.
do you choose and how do you choose to spend time with? Those categories really matter, actually, for the way we spend our time and what we actually value in life. So sometimes I think in our worldliness, we think, I have time for you, but not so much time for you. I have time for the kind of people that prop me up in the world, make me look better. But for the person who doesn't have much to offer me, do I really want to spend time with them? So I had this is the story.
That's a great thought, though, Sam.
Yeah.
That's a really good thought.
So Luke chapter 9, Jesus is dealing with almost exactly this situation. So it begins like this. An argument arose among them as to which of them was the greatest. There's the disciples having a literal argument about, I'm the greatest.
Yeah, that's right.
I am the greatest. It's the most outrageous thing. But it's like, no. I mean it. Like in the kingdom of God, I'm better than you. And you it's an outrageous thought. And because in the context, Jesus has just been speaking about his own coming death, his own humiliation.
Yeah.
And the disciples are like, with a lot to be humble about, they're saying, I think I'm actually greater than you in the kingdom of heaven. So how do you decide that? It has to be through comparison, doesn't it? And we love lists like that in our culture. Oh, these are the richest 100 and these are the most beautiful 100 and most influential and all of that. And so I don't know how that conversation went. I imagine Peter saying, look, I walked on water,
Wow.
Which is pretty good.
I mean,
Which
that
is
is
not bad.
impressive,
Pretty good,
actually.
yeah.
Someone might say, and you nearly drowned.
And then John would have said, I'm the one he loves the most.
I thought it was the one he loved the most. But followers of Jesus arguing about who's the best follower of Jesus, it might be the dumbest kind of conversation anyone could ever have. Because Jesus has literally just said also in that context of Luke 9, you must deny yourself, take up your cross and follow me. Yeah. So you would have to be saying, I deny myself so well. Like I deny myself way better than you. Have you seen me take up my cross? Do you even take up crosses?
Yeah.
So it's all comparison, and Jesus wants to undo all of that. So it says this, Jesus, knowing the reasoning of their hearts, took a child and put him by his side. So Jesus reaches out for a child in that day, considered, if they were under 12, considered just a waste of time. There's no power, there's no money there, there's no influence, there's no prestige, nothing that will help them kind of climb the ladder of the world.
They can't work yet. They can't earn.
They can't work.
They can't get married.
Earn. They were considered actually a waste of time if they were under 12. So then Jesus says, whoever receives this child in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives him who sent me. For he who is least among you all is the one who is great. So there's a kind of transformed heart, I think, which receives people who have actually just nothing to offer you in worldly terms. And Jesus is saying, that's actually greatness. It's behavior like that. It's unnoticed. It's not online. It's not for likes. It doesn't prop you up in the world, but it receives people who are mostly overlooked, and you won't get any credit in the world for this. And Jesus looks at that, I think, and he says, that's what I'm saying. That's greatness. So don't try to be the greatest, like comparison, better than others, but we should strive for greatness. And greatness is actually just so different in the kingdom of the world. That's why we need the Bible to tell us what greatness is, because the world does not look at that and go, that's greatness. Yeah. But in the kingdom of God, Jesus says, that's like receiving me. Receiving Christ, we don't receive him so that we're propped up in the world, that we're like, can rise above the ranks. We just receive him like a child, like we love him. We need him. And so that was the thought. Be great this week. Don't be the greatest, but do greatness.
Yeah.
For Christ.
Get your day started with a breakfast full of positive music, fun, inspiration, and so much more. Rise and Shine. Weekday mornings on Vision.
The Rise and Shine Weekend Edition on Vision Christian Radio.
We've been having so much fun all through the week hearing about who you would like to have coffee with in the Bible.
And the calls keep coming in, Fel, and they're all good calls. And the suggestions are all really high quality. So thank you to everyone who has called in, and it's not too late. You can still call in 1-800-316-316. Who would you like to have a coffee with? If you could have a coffee with any Bible hero or character, who is it?
And we've got Bonnie on the line. Bonnie, who are you thinking you'd like to have a coffee with?
I'd love to have coffee with Rahab.
Oh,
I want to know what she heard or how the Lord spoke to her to hide the two men.
Yes.
Because she wasn't a Christian. Terrified of these people.
Yes.
She wasn't.
She was.
Like, the town was terrified, and yet she decided, no, I need to hide these two guys.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know.
That is true, because she trusted them not to do harm to her, right?
That's right, and it saved her family.
Yes.
Now, she didn't know that was going to happen.
No.
She didn't know that was going to save her family, out of the whole town.
Yeah.
Amazing. I want to sit next to Rahab and have a chat.
Sit next to Rahab. And it was a great display of hospitality too, wasn't it? She welcomed them into her home. She took them upstairs and hid them. And it's just that whole welcoming strangers thing, isn't it? Which we can all do in our lives, can't we, Bonnie? We can always welcome strangers into our lives and show good hospitality. Even at church, meet a stranger at church, a new person, invite them for coffee or lunch. I think that's what she was doing. She was welcoming a stranger into her life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, well, very good,
Well,
Bonnie.
actually, two strangers.
Well, it's probably quite strange, actually. Bonnie, I love that thought and great answer. Wonderful. Well, I might come and I'll just be on the table next to you as you're chatting to Rahab and listen along.
Good old Rahab.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Rise and Shine will be back Monday, but you can hear the best bits anytime in the Vision app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Great conversations, fun, inspiration, and more. Rise and Shine on Vision.
You've got Fel and Andy with you as we take you through our favourite bits from Rise and Shine.
And there were so many good bits last week, Phil. It's been hard to just narrow it down, but you know what? We've chosen Matt Redman this hour.
Oh, we really have. We loved jumping on the line and having a chat to Matt. Now, for those who've been following along in our mornings earlier in the year, we had a contest to try and pick the favourite praise and worship song across the nation. It was a hard choice.
Well, we had Amazing Grace in the mix. We had Shout to the Lord in the mix. There were so many good songs in there. But guess which one came out on top, Fel?
Could it have been 10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman?
Certainly was. It was this one.
By a country mile, actually.
Yeah.
That song won. It's amazing that Matt has heard all the way across the oceans. Matt has heard of his victory and given us a call. We got to ask him about that song, but also just about worship, an incredible event that he's hosting. And we finished it up with our favourite question of the week.
Yeah, we asked Maddie, if you went to heaven right now, who would you have a coffee with? And he had a very good answer.
Oh, I'm sure he did. That is coming up later in the hour, along with our Vision family's answers to that same question. Who would you have coffee with in the Bible? It's not too late if you want to get involved. You can send us a text on 0447 488 316 or jump on Facebook, Rise and Shine Vision, to have your say.
The Rise and Shine podcast.
If you are just joining us today and you love this song,
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy.
it won our poll, Fel. It won our online poll. What was your favourite worship song of all time? The writer, the composer, the singer, the performer of this song, Matt Redman, is joining us on Rise and Shine again. Matt, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much. Lovely to hang.
Matt, you're obviously an English geezer. You're not fitting the normal modern-day profile of a worship leader who's usually American or Australian. So you're an Englishman. And I'm really curious to know, when you were young, growing up in England, as well as loving Liverpool like I did as well, what were your influences? Who did you really look up to as a worship leader, and what worship music inspired you?
Vineyard worship music were massive for me. Just this idea that you could even draw near to God through music. So it wasn't just hearing about him, not even just speaking to him, but you could even draw near to him and he would draw near to you, like scripture promises. And so they were big. Really though, the hymn writers became the biggest influence for me. Charles Wesley, 7,000 hymns. I mean, from the age of 27 to the age of 81, he's just pumping out this praise. And as well as writing hymns, actually, he was writing everyday journals, letters, sermons, but managing to write 7,000 hymns. His very last hymn, he's on his deathbed, age 81. He's frail, so he can't write this down, but he dictates it to his wife. It's just one verse long. And he says, his last 2 lines he ever wrote, "Oh, could I catch one smile from thee and drop into eternity?" Oh, and I mean, beautiful. That kind of thing is just so inspiring, for what I do. You can hear the passion, you can hear truth, and that's what you need in modern worship songs, right?
Oh, I love that, Matt. What a beautiful statement. Now you are inspiring the next generation of worship leaders and worshippers. Have you got a piece of advice that was given to you that you're passing on as you work with new inspired artists?
Yeah, in terms of creatively, I always tell them something I heard from a guy called Brian Dirksen. He says, put a universal truth in a unique way. And what he meant by that is like, take the age-old truth and stuff that's relevant to everyone's life, the sort of thing we should be singing about and it's biblical to sing about, but it's relevant to sing about, but try and express it in a unique way. Try and put your fresh spin on that, melodically or lyrically. And I've always found that like the best kind of guiding star when you're there in the songwriting moment. Is this true? Is this relevant? But also, am I coming around it in a fresh way? And so, again, going back to the hymn writers, you see they're talking about the cross, but they're coming at it from so many different angles, so many different windows on the cross, describing what happened in that place. And so that's always the guiding principle, I think, is, you've got to, how are you going to say it in a now way and in a fresh way? Oh,
I love that. And I also love that you're coming to Australia to work with Aussies as well, with a conference coming up in Sydney. Is that right? Yeah. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. Well, I've been running these things called Worth, and we actually came up with that word because WOR for worship and the TH theology. And these are worship and theology day conferences where we drink from the fire hose. We go from like 9:30 in the morning through to 9 at night. Oh, wow. We have a theologian coming in to the Sydney one. We've got this guy, Dr. Michael Bird from Ridley in Melbourne. And then we've got Darlene Chet coming in, who's obviously an amazing worship leader, songwriter, and a hero to so many of us. City of Light, who are in Sydney doing some amazing things. There's some of the best modern hymn writers around, really think through how they're conveying God in their songs and their services.
Vision has just the right mix of music, inspiration and fun to kickstart your day. Rise and shine. Weekdays at breakfast.
The Rise and Shine Weekend Edition on Vision Christian Radio.
Well, Phil, it is such a treat today because anyone who knows and loves this song...
Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Oh my
soul. They may know that the author or the composer or the writer or the performer of this song, whatever you want to call him, Matt Redman, is actually joining us today on Rise and Shine. Matt Redman, we want to welcome you to the show today.
Thank you so much. Lovely to hang.
Well, we are very excited. Obviously, you heard that on Rise and Shine a few weeks ago, we held a poll about Australia's favourite worship song. And this song, 10,000 Reasons, your song won, and you're giving us a call. That's incredible.
That's wonderful. I mean, it I live in America, and I had to phone a lot of times to register my vote.
That's
so
right,
it cost me quite a lot.
Well, it worked, my friend.
I'm
It
very
worked.
glad about that.
And you did have some stiff competition. You were up against Amazing Grace.
Yes.
Wow.
And of course, Darlene Check's song, Shout to the Lord. So the competition
Oh, yeah.
was fierce. It was like a seesawing
It was.
battle. It was bigger than the English Premier League. But somehow, at the end of the poll, there you were on top, Maddie. I'm sure you've really struggled with that as far as staying humble, have you?
Well, you're saying I'm the Liverpool of worship songs.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Nothing would make my heart gladder.
Well, as an Aussie, mate, as a kid, Craig Johnson, that first Aussie that really made it in the Premier League, that's why I went for Liverpool too. So I support the Scousers too. Although I'm not a Scouser, I've always supported them. So we're on the same page here. But Matt, in all seriousness, tell us about that song. How did you write that song?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real simple song. The 4 chords. There's no pre-chorus. There's no bridge. It's so simple that when we wrote it, I didn't think it was finished.
Oh, really?
To be honest with you, I wasn't even going to put it on the album.
Really?
The kind of overcritical, overly clever songwriter part of me thought it can't be finished. We wrote it really quickly. It only got 4 chords. It doesn't have some of the normal sections of a song. And fortunately, I've around some people who know what they're doing more than me. And a friend said to me, "Hey, I don't care what song we're dropping off that album. That one should go on." And honestly, that's kind of what I like about it. There's nothing progressive or clever or about it. It's just a wholehearted song of worship from someone who's seen who God is and what he does. So there's not really a whole lot of rocket science in that song. It flowed out really quickly. The band U2, they say that songwriting, sometimes it's like a boxing ring and other times it's like a playground. There's times where you're contending for it, a bit of sweat and everything. Other times it's just fun. And that honestly was one of those. And it's such a blessing to see it go around the world. We've met some phenomenal people through that song, just people who've maybe faced some of the hardest things I've ever heard about in life, but found themselves still able to offer up a song of trust and praise and devotion. So yeah, grateful.
But even deeper than that, why did you write it? Were you going through a season of life at the time where you just wanted to sing about something like that, or it just came to you in a time of prayer? Tell us the story.
Yeah, no, I mean, some songs have a very specific, seed to them, if you like. This one was literally, I was in a songwriting session with a friend, Jonas Myron from Sweden, and we were sitting in a little village church in the village I lived in England. 100-year-old building. We'd been writing all day. He was flying back to Sweden the next day. I wanted to go home and go to sleep. He said, "Hey, I've got one more little song starter. It's just the beginning of a chorus melody." And I was like, "Bro, it's so late. We've been writing all day. It's like 1 a.m. I've got 5 kids. You don't have to get up in the morning. I do." But he said, "Can I just play it to you?" And he played it. And I suddenly said, "Oh, that's that Bless the Lord song we've been trying to write." And I sung Bless the Lord to the melody that he'd give it. And then honestly, the verse just started flowing out. And it was one of those moments where you're just having too much fun. It's all coming out. You're trying to write it down as fast as you can. And for me, the real key moment came when I realized, we can mirror 10,000 reasons. And we can mirror that with 10,000 years in the last verse. And I thought, okay, there's a little bit of glue to the song here. And honestly, that last verse to do with heaven and when we're going to see Jesus face to face, that's been the part that's had the most feedback. We've had so many people say, "Hey, my loved one died," and we were singing that over them, or "My loved one faced the hardest thing," and as they went to be with Jesus, they were actually listening to this song.
Well, we are with Matt Redman. He brought us 10,000 Reasons, that song, which won our online poll,
It
Fel,
surely
of the
did.
greatest worship song of all time. But Matt, there's one question we have to ask you. If you went to heaven today, who would you want to have a coffee with, one of your Bible heroes?
It's got to be David, King David, right? I mean, firstly, I think he might have a slight issue with you saying 10,000 Reasons is the best worship song of all time. seeing as his ones are in the Bible. But I think that I love David because he's very earthly, right? You know, he's very relatable to.
Yes.
You know, okay, so in one way, okay, he's a king, but in other ways, he's like very earthly. If you look at the story of David, there's not really like miracles going on. You know, a lot of these Old Testament stories, David's very much more of an earthly thing, And what I love is he's a warrior, but he's also a poet and a creative. You know, okay, he's a shepherd, and so his songs, they're not abstract things. He's singing about the Lord is my shepherd because he was one and he knows what that's like. He's singing about spears and swords and shields because he was a fighter, you know. Yeah. And so very much, I think him. You know, one thing I loved about him, I don't love that he messed up big time, but I love how he responded when he did mess up. When he got found out, when he messed up, he came back to True North really quickly and really wholeheartedly. So I'd love to sit down with him for sure.
Mate, based on that, I think David will give you a high five in heaven as well, mate. That's a pretty good endorsement for the man. But great answer. But Matt, we just want to thank you so much for giving us your time today on Rise and Shine here in Australia. And I'm just so excited about that event in May. I honestly believe this is going to be a key event for lots of people involved in praise and worship in Australia.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Saturday, 10th of May in Sydney, worthworship.com, all the details, and really loved getting to hang with you guys today. Thank you so much.
Matt Redman, thank you for joining us on Rise and Shine today.
Thank you.
Get your day started with a breakfast full of positive music, fun, inspiration, and so much more. Rise and Shine. Weekday mornings on Vision.
The Rise and Shine Weekend Edition on Vision Christian Radio.
We've been having fun this week, having a think, who would you have coffee with if you had a couple of hours to pop up to heaven?
Yeah, with your favourite Bible character, Phil.
Yeah, that's right. Some great answers so far. I mean, Joyce, she's got Jesus. We've got AJ with Mary, the mother of Jesus. So and God, Kaz got God. So there's a few people who are taken. Plenty of Bible people still to come, though. We've got Catherine who's given us a call. Hey, Catherine, what are you thinking?
I was just thinking, can you imagine catching up with that little boy with those loaves and fishes?
Yes.
And his mother just packed this, like maybe a fish or two and a couple of loaves.
Yes.
And then his lunchbox suddenly feeds all these people. And there's stuff left over. Can you imagine how popular he would be with his mates?
Well, it's good you said that, because if you think about it, he actually gave up his lunch. And we all know little kids, let's be honest, we're all born pretty selfish and we're kind of, we like to conserve our resources. And this little boy just said, you know what, have my lunch today. And I'm sure he was hungry like all little boys. Little boys are always hungry. Yeah. And it was a big call. It was a big sacrifice.
It was a good lunch.
Oh, well, yeah.
And then suddenly all these people are fed by what he gave up.
Yes.
I think that's special.
So special, Catherine. I think he grew up with that. So wonder what that meant for the rest of his life, having seen God at work in his life at a young age, what impact that would have had on the rest of his life.
His parents must have been amazing people as well, bringing him up to be the way he was, so generous.
Yeah.
A generous little boy, yeah. And they did overpack the lunch too. I think his mum was generous too, because she gave him, I think, a little bit more than one little boy can eat, thinking, maybe he'll make a friend.
He might have been a big boy.
Growing boy.
Yes, Catherine.
A big boy.
Well, and you don't know how long, like it was lunch. Maybe it was the whole day's worth of food.
Exactly. She didn't know when he'd be home, so she thought she would just extra.
What a good mum.
Yeah, and letting him go off on his own like that all day without over worrying about him and over helicopter parenting him. She just said, hey, go away, boy,
maybe
for a whole day.
Maybe she had the Google Maps and she could follow him along. No.
Make sure he had his phone charged.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to think how I would have done it. I'd be tracking him for sure.
So you'd want to have a coffee with that little boy. He'd be a grown man in heaven too, so he'd be almost unrecognisable. But that would be a good coffee day, wouldn't it?
And it would be great if his parents were still around, if I could still catch up with Mom and say, hey, well done.
Yes.
Well done for bringing your child up, and the dad as well.
Yeah. Those are the people that aren't mentioned in the Bible. You want to just ask them questions of the unmentioned people, the mums and the dads.
The unsung heroes, Phil.
They are.
Like the King Country song says.
Or the people just on the outskirts sort of watching these things happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it, Catherine. I actually have a picture in my head, because I'm quite visual, of being in heaven, and I almost like God playing a movie night in heaven is him showing you those moments in time, but them actually happening. Like, how cool would that be?
Seeing the people's faces.
Yes. Don't you think?
Yeah. And it'd be amazing.
Yeah. Actually, yes.
And how it would change their lives. Just amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, practical stuff.
Practical stuff.
Good on you, Catherine.
Thank you so much.
Okay, then. Have a great day.
Rise and Shine will be back Monday, but you can hear the best bits anytime in the Vision app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Great conversations, fun, inspiration, and more. Rise and Shine on Vision.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.